Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Nick, aka Nick Can't Mind from Twitter, back with another episode of Meet the Taco Plebs. And today I have Ben Carman, a developer at Suredbits. Ben is one of the people that I've been interacting with on Twitter for a long time. He's one of the first Taco Plebs I met. And I even got to meet him in person at BitBlock Boom and hang out with him. And he's a super chill dude. And I'm really happy that he said yes to coming on the show. So Ben, what's up?
How's it going, Nick? Yeah, we've been chatting on Twitter for like 2 years or something now. Remember when you were still Mr. Krabs?
That was a long time ago. And
Yeah.
not too many people remember that. I've seen some Twitter threads where Jeremiah, he's said he's made a Mr. Krabs reference and no one's got it but me, him, and a few other people. So that's an OG thing.
Oh yeah, one of the privileged few, I guess.
So without further ado, let's just get right into it. How did you get into Bitcoin and what's your rabbit hole story?
Yeah, I got into Bitcoin November 2017. So when shit's really popping off. I had heard about it hundreds of times before then. I had seen a talk from the CEO of Zappo on Bitcoin, and I'd heard about it off the cuff tons of times before, but just always been oh, okay, that's something people do, that's cool, but never really took the time to see what it is and why people find it important. But then price going up was oh, I want to get rich, so I'll buy some and look into this thing. So I bought $50 worth, and I thought I was set for life. Turns out it wasn't. But after that, I just watched a couple Andreas videos, and that really got me hooked in the beginning. And then spent a while just trying to learn some technicals, and then reading Safety's book, The Bitcoin Standard, that fully orange pilled me and got me down okay, this thing is a vital piece of technology that humanity needs, and we need to do whatever we can to make sure this thing succeeds. So that's what really got me down the rabbit hole, cannonballing in, we need to do this whatever we can.
Our stories are very similar in the way that I also got in. I either got in October or November 2017, and the first time I bought $50 worth, and I immediately sold it because I thought the price had plummeted, but it was really just the exchange fee, the $2 exchange fee. So I actually thought the price had plummeted, and I was losing money. But back in what years did you? What was the earliest year you heard about Bitcoin? And were you I know you said you were just oh, that sounds cool, but did you see anything about it, or did you have any other thoughts on it, or if that makes sense?
Yeah, I don't know what the earliest I heard it was. So in early 2014, me and my mom we went to this Ideas Week thing in Chicago, and just basically a bunch of tech people gave different presentations, and one of them was Wences from Zappo, and he gave a presentation on Bitcoin. And I remember watching oh yeah, that Bitcoin thing, I've heard about that before years prior. So I think I probably heard about it in originally in 2012 or 2013, but just I mean, then I was 14 or something. So I mean, even if I did get interested in it, I wouldn't have had any money to do anything. So I don't know, but I always every time someone talked about it, I'd be oh, that's the future of money, cool, we'll see when that thing is ready, never knowing it's just it's an ever going process, and it's not the U.S. government was oh, today now we're just switching to Bitcoin. It's it's going to be an individual choice. But after falling that rabbit hole, you kind of realize these things. I'm oh, it's total idiot back then. But oh well.
So before you got into Bitcoin in 2017, did you already have a tech background? How did you end up at Suredbits, and did you do any previous work in Bitcoin before that?
Yeah, I had I've always been a techie ever since I was really little. When I was 7, my parents would call me IT because I was the only one that could figure out how to use a computer. So from like then on, I'd always like been into computers. So like when I went to high school, I took like all the programming classes we had, and I like fell in love with that immediately. So like pre-Bitcoin, I knew I wanted to do like something in software. And then after getting into Bitcoin, I was like, and I felt like I understood well enough. I'm like, okay, I should probably start contributing to this thing just because it's interesting, and why not like merge my like two passions. So and then so I did a little bit of work on core, and then was it the summer of 2019? Yeah, so like a year and a half ago, Wasabi was doing this thing called a contribution game where basically they were giving out like 1 Bitcoin amongst contributors based on like how many lines of code you contributed during that month. And I was just like working like a part-time job over the summer, and that job I had nothing to do at, so I would just like spend all day at that job instead of having, since I had no work to do, I would just work on Wasabi. And so like that really got my feet like fully wet of like Bitcoin development, like talking with like Bitcoin developers, and like I learned like a ton doing that, and then was able to pivot that after I graduated college into working at Suredbits now, where I do Bitcoin development as my full-time job.
Nice. Could you explain like a little bit of what you do at Suredbits?
Yeah, I'm just like general developer. So we have like a few things that we do. One is the Bitcoin S library, which is a Scala library for Bitcoin. So this is like basically everything you'd want for like a Bitcoin project, where it has like a node, a wallet, and then like basic like data structures for everything you need for that. And so like most of my job is spent on that, just like maintaining it, doing updates. Like something I worked on like this past week is making it so you could store multiple wallets and stuff like that, and multiple like key managers and seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And but like what our like flagship thing is we're trying to work on primarily is DLCs. So what DLCs are is like doing like a Bitcoin contract on chain. So like that's what our long-term goal thing is like primarily working on. So like some of this like wallet stuff I'm working on now is like going to be directly related to that, or like previously in the past I'd worked on like the wallet implementation for DLCs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've learned a little bit about DLCs from your presentation that you and one of your coworkers did for Bitcoin Magazine on Technical Tuesdays before. And yeah, so pivoting into my next question is, it seems like your life has changed a lot since you got into Bitcoin, but how has it specifically changed your life?
Yeah, it's changed in a lot of ways. Like pre-Bitcoin, I was a total Bernie bro. Like I just thought like, oh, we just need to tax the rich more and we'll solve all our problems.
Really?
Yeah, it
That's
was bad.
surprising.
Yeah, I was like you pull a blue-haired chick off the street and I'd have the same beliefs as her. But I mean, I was pro gun at least then, but like it was pretty bad. But like after like getting into Bitcoin, and like Saifedean's book is like one of the things that like really like shaped my current political views, is like, actually the problem is our money and all this like centrally planned economy stuff that we're doing, and like these are our problems. So it's like, so like after that, like I kind of realized like the error of my ways. I'm like, okay, there are problems, but they're not solved through, just taking Jeff Bezos' money and giving it to the government, hoping they give it to poor people. Like, let's actually solve the underlying issues, because, in the past we never had to take everyone's money and distribute it, so why should we need to now?
Hmm.
And
Why do you
I mean,
think so many people think like that? Like, I know there's a lot of people who are, screaming tax the rich and, tax Wall Street or whatever. And I just feel like there's a lot of people who protest like Wall Street, and they say, "Oh, you guys are evil capitalists and you're stealing my money, blah blah blah," when they really should be, down at the Federal Reserve, protesting there, because that's where the real problem is, not Wall Street. Wall Street will make them money.
yeah, I mean, it's like weird. So like, I think there's like two things. One is just like, that's what the media puts out. Like, you're never gonna go on like any TV channel and not see the mainstream narrative of, we just need to tax the rich and it'll solve all our problems. So I think like it's like the default position in that way for like if you don't pay attention, you just like loosely follow politics. Like, oh yeah, that's the solution. It's just they're not going to implement it. So, but like, and then like I think another major reason too is just a sense like humans have a I think they have like a tendency to like, if they see a problem, it's always like, oh, we need to fix this, we need to do something, versus like a lot of like kind of what the Austrian schools is like perpetuates is like you just kind of need to let things happen and let people make their own decisions for like the optimal outcome. Like you don't need to plan every single aspect of like everything. So I think like that's a big thing where like they think they need like we need to make an action to fix these problems by like constantly having the system that like is fixing the problem versus just leaving people to their own devices and like not interfering with their lives, letting them like transact and do trades with each other without people like the government coming in and deciding what the rules are for this trade. And I mean, if you like let people do that, then it should naturally like come to a more fair, equal system. It's just people think like we need to have an active like participation in everyone's single thing for the optimal system, which is not the case.
It all seems really controlling and just I don't like it. It just I'm a big fan of just letting everything flow and people making their own decisions. I don't want some other person telling me the decisions I have to make or I have to abide by some certain set of rules just because that's what they want me to. And
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like a lot of people too, it's always like if you ask any socialist like or like basically like anyone like what should the tax rate like when should we start increasing taxes? It's always like 20K above their current salary. It's never like they're never going to take a personal loss. It's always like, if they make 100 grand, it's like, well, maybe at like 150 grand, we'll start increasing the taxes. Or if they make like 500 grand, like say, well, we'll start the people that make over $1 million a year the tax. It's never like, it's always people want to like take. It's never like a lot of them aren't like going to be self-sacrificial, at least like on a systematic change. And they might give the charity and stuff like that. But like a lot of them won't want to like have the forced charity that like basically they want through taxation.
yeah, it's like you can they'll allow the government to take other people's money as long as they're making way more than them. And it's just like one of the things I always think about is that like a lot of these people who are yelling tax the rich and calling for these like certain tax prices like be taxed at this certain price, from my understanding from what I've researched is that that's going to come around to bite them in the butt when inflation goes up year after year after year and they're being pushed into higher tax brackets because they're getting paid more to compensate for the inflation. So over time, they're going to find themselves in those tax brackets.
Yep. Yeah, it's like it's stupid. Like and like all the things like that. Like I don't see why these people expect like the government to like do exactly what they want. Like there's like so many things where like things like minimum wage and like like tax brackets, those aren't inflation adjusted, but congressman salary pay is inflation adjusted and stuff like that. So it's just like they're gonna write these laws to fuck you over. Like don't expect anything from the government. Like if you want actual change in your life, like go do it yourself. Don't expect like the people to bail you out, which I mean a lot of people don't want to do that, so they just blame the outside system.
I feel like there's a big lack in education of people. People just trust the government blindly and they think that, oh, the government is here to protect them, it's here to serve them. The US government is here, like literally just here to protect life, liberty, and property. And that's it. It's not here to redistribute wealth. It's not here to intervene with the economy. And I always see like these people we're talking about, yelling, oh, capitalism has failed us, blah, blah, blah. Like that's one that really gets me going because it's like, no, you idiot. The capitalism's not the problem. Capitalism's the thing that made America the greatest country in the world. It's the money. It's purely the money.
It's like the lack of capitalism that we're like missing. We're like we have like we have like, I mean, we have kind of a free market, but then like communist money. So it's like we're just kind of screwed over that way. And like the money is the base layer of the entire economy. So like screwing that over just like totally fucks everything. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this podcast like agrees. Like it's the money, not any part of the other system.
And then government intervention makes it worse when companies that would be dying under free market capitalism are being propped up by, fake money to survive, and they're like not providing any value at all. And
Yeah.
it's just a whole fucked up situation.
Yeah. And then like the another thing is like entire industries spin up that just are like servicing like governments and like company relations, where like we have entire like tax agency businesses that employ thousands of people, and different compliance offices or like stuff like that. Like if you go to like, I don't know if you've ever like talked to people that work at like a Bitcoin exchange or something, like they have like hundreds of like 100-person teams that just work on like tax compliance and like and accounting for like taxes, and then like complying with rules and regulations. It's like these are like literally like millions of hours of human time spent just trying to deal with made up rules that we put between ourselves that aren't doing anyone any good. It's like ridiculous. And like if that time was better spent, actually providing a service to humans that demanded it, it'd probably be a lot better world.
I totally agree. So moving on to our next question is, what's the most amazing thing about Bitcoin to you personally?
I think some of the people in this space are amazing. Like I mean, just hopping on Twitter, I mean, I met like you and like a million other people that are like just awesome to talk to. And then like it's crazy how much like signal is in this space, like versus noise. Like there's just so many smart people working on this thing. I mean, even just Satoshi originally creating the system was pure genius. And then afterwards, like it just attracts so many smart people, like from like the development side. You have like like the Peter Woolas and the Jonas Nicks and Greg Maxwell, like all these people working on like super like fancy systems like Taproot. And then we have and then like from the econ side, you have super smart people like Saifedean and you know I don't know, like just like there's tons of people in this space that are extremely smart. And it's just like I don't know, once you like spend some time in the space, you realize like fuck, there's some smart people in this space that don't want to see this thing fail. I'm going to do everything in their power to make sure it succeeds. Like it's hard. It's not like I don't know, like kind of media portrays like, oh, Bitcoin is just like this hacky internet thing that people are doing. But like if you go and it's like, oh, this is a super intellectual project that people are working on, and like it's going to be a hard thing to stop.
I totally agree. The people in Bitcoin, like the Bitcoin maximalists, are so nice, and they treat like they will literally treat you like family as you get to know them. And it's because we all have this one common goal of just restoring sound money with Bitcoin. And it's crazy how the gravitational pull that Bitcoin has to just like the smartest people around is insane. Like you said, like we have people like Saifedean, Preston Pish, all these developers. I don't know too many developers by name. I really should though, but we have all these people, and we also have one of the favorite things. My favorite things about this is like the plebs are just hardworking people who don't want to have their money stolen from inflation, and they stack sats, and they educate themselves, and it just makes their life so much better. And going to BitBlock Boom and meeting you and everyone else, one of the things I was really impressed with was you could go up to anyone, literally anyone there, and just start talking to them, and like it's not weird or awkward. And like I would go up to like Parker Lewis and Jimmy Song and Justin Moon and just talk to them like we were friends. Like I feel like it's a lot harder to do that in other I'm blanking on the word right now.
Just like any other space, like
Yeah.
there's no other community like that. Yeah, it's insane. Like yeah, like at Big Pop Boom, like you just like walk up to someone like, "Hi, I'm Ben," like the "Hi, I'm whatever Jeff," and just you could start talking for like I met people there I'd never heard of before, and then hung out with them like the whole weekend because like they're just like cool people, and like we're all like-minded individuals. Like it's kind of weird where like we all agree on Bitcoin, but then like we also agree on like 99 other things that like have no relation to like Bitcoin, but I don't know, we somehow all agree on it. It's just because like I mean it's just a very like-minded space, which is really cool, and it breeds a lot of awesome people.
hmm Like I remember like the night that it was like the night before the official event and like the day of, like everyone was just in the hotel lobby near the bar, and I'm talking, with people I've, again, like you said, I've never seen on Twitter before, I've never heard before, talked to before, and we talked for, I don't know how many hours, and it was just like refreshing to talk to all these people because you don't get to talk. At least I don't get to talk to them that much in real life. Well, I guess I do now, but before I didn't.
Yeah. No, dude, I totally get that. So I recently moved down, well, like earlier this year I moved down to Austin, and like before I had like no in-person Bitcoin like experience pretty much at all, and now here it's like you get like I even hang out with Bitcoiners like at least once a week now, and it's like this is great. I get to like be with my people.
hmm I feel the same way. Being here at Bitcoin Magazine, dude, like literally the exact same way.
Yeah, it's great.
But moving on to my next question is like Bitcoin education. I feel like us, like where we are now compared to back in the day, is like we're so spoiled with education. There's so many different ways to educate yourself on Bitcoin, whether it be like books, articles, podcasts, talk forums, Telegram, etc. What are your go-to things that you will have someone learn about Bitcoin? Like, who do you advise to? Um, who do you advise people to learn from?
Yeah, I would recommend. I'm like a really big podcast guy, so I think Tales from the Crypt and Stefan Livera are the best two like intro podcasts. There's some other really good ones like once you're actually fully down the rabbit hole, but I think those two are they have like a breadth of topics that like a newbie can pick up. But if you're not into that, I think if you listen to Andreas's old content, it's good, but you have to be careful because he gets into like ETH shit later, and that's no good, which is really sad because that used to be like a really good wealth of knowledge his YouTube channel. But otherwise, I think Safety Dean's book, like I talked about like a bunch of times already, is really good. That helps a lot, and he's gonna be having two more books come out I think next year too, which I assume will be really good resources as well. But I don't know, I think that's that, or just go on Twitter and just start DMing people like anytime I DM someone, you're gonna get a reply within like 2 hours, and they'll always be like super nice and answer any question you have. Or just DM me if you really have a question. I always answer people.
I've definitely noticed that Bitcoin Twitter is a really good resource for information that a lot of people underestimate. I think that like I remember when I was in college, I was writing an econ paper, and I really wanted, when I was citing my sources, I really wanted to cite like these cartoon characters on Twitter
Yep.
because they're like there's like what they're saying is right, like it is really good information, but my professor wasn't having it, so yeah.
You should have like DM'd like Safe or like VJ and be like, you want to be my site, and like be like, well, fuck you, I'll put in a real economist and a
Yeah.
direct quote, not from any article.
Yeah. One thing I've found interesting also is like how much you learn just from shit posting on Twitter and talking to everyone else. Like I recently got the Theory of Money and Credit by Ludwig von Mises, and I'm like 150 pages into it, and like I haven't really learned anything too new. just because it's all stuff I've learned from Twitter. And that book is like an insanely good reference, like jam-packed full of, really good information. And it's kind of like, it's good, but I've already seen a lot of this, multiple times on Twitter, and that kind of, it makes you think like, man, shit posting on Twitter gets you like an education that you can't really get anywhere else.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I mean, I learned like a ton of like developer shit too through like Twitter, just being like shit posting like to like a dev like how we could do this, and then be like, and then you get like, then someone will like take your shit post seriously, and you like do the full thought experiment, and it's like, oh shit, okay, we actually learned something from this, and like it's crazy how much like you can just like you can waste a lot of time on Twitter, but you also, if you use it wisely, you can like get a lot out of it, which is really great.
I totally agree. So going into my last and final question, we're just gonna get a little bolt-hard here. Is what is your? Oh wait. What is your? Oh wait. Never mind. Change of plans. When you're explaining Bitcoin to people, like how do you go about it? Do you have to change it up for each and every single person, or do you have like a solid Bitcoin pitch you normally do?
I'm pretty bad at pitching Bitcoin, sadly. At least everyone like that's not a Bitcoin in my life, I pitched to like within like the first 6 months of me being into Bitcoin. So like I kind of had like some shitcoin tendencies in me and like didn't fully grasp it yet. So I kind of burned all those people and haven't been able to pitch too many new people since. But basically what I try to do now is I try to say like it's just a more fair money, and like and just say, like the current system isn't fair, and then just be like, 2020 has been like great for this, where you could just say, you just pull up like the Fed's website, like look, they printed, 24% of all dollars didn't exist this year, now they do, and then like, you like, and we're the best country in the world for this, and you pull up like Canada, it's like, okay, look, they quadrupled their money supply, and people are like, wait, what the hell? Like over Thanksgiving recently, I was like talking to my dad, trying to like get him to buy more Bitcoin, and like I showed him like the clip of Neil Kashkari on 60 Minutes. We were like, we have unlimited money, and then like I showed him like, like the chart. And he's like, wait, what the hell? And like I think like if you just explain to people like these people have zero checks and balances and are literally can create like unlimited resource for themselves if like as long as the dollar has demand. So like I think just getting to people like to understand like these people have no checks and balances and have full control over like your wealth is like ridiculous, and then just explain like Bitcoin is the alternative where we have a system that's different where no one can control it, and everyone that has Bitcoin earned it either through paying for it with like fiat or mining it or with their labor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing I wanted to add on to that is I think this goes in like hand in hand with what you do is what I normally do is I'll say like Bitcoin solves the problem of money printing, and I just say like I'll kind of throw in there, I'll be like, oh well, the Federal Reserve can print unlimited amounts of money. They could print $1 trillion by tomorrow. And Bitcoin, you can't do that, and you kind of like plant the seed in their head, like, oh shit, why are they allowed to, why is this a problem, and why are they allowed to print all that money? Because that doesn't sound like a very good thing.
Yeah, that's good. I like what Pierre's been doing on Twitter lately too, where he says like Bitcoin solves the counterfeiting problem, where like now we need like rules and regulations that like only these people are allowed to print dollars, versus Bitcoin solves this problem where no one can counterfeit it, so there's no need for rules and regulations and sending men with guns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. But so we're coming up on the 30-minute mark, and I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything you want to shout out? Anybody you want to shout out, or any? Let us know where they can find you on Twitter, or on your socials?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Ben the Carman. I'll just say shout out to all the taco plebs and basically everyone on Twitter. Like without Twitter, I probably wouldn't be. I mean, I'd be into Bitcoin, but nowhere near as I am today. And like, it's been a great resource and a great place to meet good friends. So I'm eternally grateful for everyone.
Awesome. Well, if you guys want to follow Ben, which you should, his link will be down in the description. And yeah, thank you for coming on again. And if you made it this far in the video, leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
An innuendo and auto invitation.